Hey y'all, and welcome back to the 100 Movie Marathon, and it has been a long time coming. That's right, I'm coming back to the 100 Movie Marathon list with number 81, The Other Guys. The Other Guys was a action comedy movie made in 2010 starring Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and directed by Adam McKay. Basically, this movie is about the other guys in a cop action movie. You know, what happens whenever the, hotshot cops are no longer there? Who needs to step up? It's the other guys, the guys that sit at a desk. And this movie's really interesting for me because it not only explores, the other guys in the sense of like these guys are the people that sit at the desk, but it also explores themes of like those are the people that do all of the actual work and those are the important folks. Really, this movie is about the banking system and how crooked it is. Sort of a hint to the themes that Adam McKay would later go on to dive deep into with some of his other projects. But this is one of my favorite comedies ever made. And starting off with what I love about it, it was the perfect cast between Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg in the leading roles. Ferrell does what he does best here in playing a guy who's basically an idiot. Now, he's not an all-out idiot like Will Ferrell plays in his other films, but I really do love him in this movie. He has a way of saying lines so deadpan that are absolutely absurd. I mean, that whole dinner scene with him, his wife, and Mark Wahlberg kind of talking about Eva Mendes in there. I think it's just absolutely hilarious. His line delivery is perfection in this movie. And then Mark Wahlberg as kind of the guy who should be a hotshot cop but is stuck at the desk. I think it's a perfect role for him, and it really leans into everything that makes him great about him as a performer in that he can give you those action-centric scenes. He can be the tough guy, but he's also funny. He can be a comedic actor whenever he wants to be. If you need proof for that, just watch this movie or Ted. And then the supporting roles here are absolutely perfect. I mean, like I said before, you have Eva Mendes here as Will Ferrell's wife. Absolutely hilarious in the movie. Michael Keaton, who just can't stop quoting TLC throughout the movie. You have Rob Riggle and Damon Wayans Jr., who sort of play the cops that are trying to take over that hotshot persona after the passing of the actual hotshot cops. If you haven't seen the other guys, it's Samuel L. Jackson and Dwayne Johnson, who are perfect in the movie. I remember I could not stop laughing. I had to pause the movie the first time that I watched it in high school because I could not stop laughing whenever they actually died in the movie. It's one of the first few scenes in there. It's what the movie's based off of, so it's not a giant spoiler. But those guys are so good here, and it's kind of right before Dwayne Johnson became the action blockbuster star that he is today. Like, don't get me wrong, people knew who The Rock was, but he was starring in movies like Race to Witch Mountain and Tooth Fairy at the time. It was pre-Fast Five. It was what's another movie he's in? Rampage, I guess. But, him with Samuel L. Jackson, I think, were the perfect casting choices here to play sort of the hotshot cops at the beginning of the movie. And then, of course, I cannot talk about this movie or its themes without talking about Steve Coogan here. He is such a underrated actor, and people I find typically recognize his face, but they don't really know his name. He's been in so many good movies. He's such a great performer, and I thought he was the perfect choice to play kind of a slimeball banker that has to interact with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg all the time. I mean, the scenes where he's trying to bribe them into not looking into his business are great. Like giving them Jersey Boys tickets or Knicks tickets, I think is fantastic. But then diving into the next thing that I really love about the movie is the script. I mean, it's truly one of the only movies that I watch where I laugh every single time that I watch it. This is my go-to airplane movie where if I'm flying, let's say from, Houston to Denver, right? Like a 2-hour flight or something, I'm gonna download The Other Guys and I'm gonna watch it. It's just a movie that I can enjoy anywhere. If I'm on an airplane, if I'm in my apartment, wherever I am. I just love watching this movie for its performances and its script, which is what I'm talking about right now. Let me get back on track. There are so many memorable scenes in this movie. I mean, you have Aim for the Bushes. You have Will Ferrell as Gator. Even just thinking about it, I'm laughing. You have all of the scenes in the Prius I mean, Will Ferrell shouting America, him playing Dave Matthews Band, Mark Wahlberg being handed this mug, which says female body inspector. This was actually a gift from my old roommate. Thank you, Bobby. Fun fact, actually, they had 3 Priuses that they used in this movie, and one of them was equipped with a racing engine that was so big they had to put it in the back seat of the car. But all of the scenes in the Prius, I think, are absolutely gold. You have Dirty Mike and the boys, which actually, another fun fact, Dirty Mike is Adam McKay. You have the scene, of course, whenever, I forget the performer's name, I'll put it right here whenever I'm editing the video, but he's talking about what Dirty Mike and the boys did in the Prius whenever they stole it, I guess, or whenever kind of the thugs stealing David Ershon away from the cops, whenever they confiscated the Prius and dumped it off. You have that scene whenever he's describing, like, the raccoons, what all the homeless guys did in the Prius. This movie is full of so many nuggets, and it's like, it's perfect, and it's so different from other movies in that era of comedy where, you know, it's not just bits, like it is bits, but it's all playing into a bigger story. Like, I think you can watch this movie not just for the bits that it does, but also for the actual story, and that's what I think really stands out about it. The script is so rock solid in that they have really important themes in there and what Adam McKay wanted to bring across, but it's, at its core, a comedy. And I have to talk about the scene where Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg have to go to one of his ex-girlfriend's houses, and her name is Christina, and the husband's like trying to seduce Mark Wahlberg. And it's just so funny. Like, they're running after the Prius, and it's been like 3 miles or something. They're running at full speed. I love this movie. There's so many good scenes here. But I have to talk about Adam McKay, the director of this movie. I previously went into depth about him in my Anchorman video. I think that was like number 88 or 87 on the 100 Movie Marathon. But he is just one of my favorite directors working today. His filmography is just so interesting. You know, you have Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, and then you have The Other Guys, which kind of like was his kind of transition from comedy into movies that kind of have bigger themes and are a little bit more serious. It's like the perfect mixture of the two sides of his filmography, right? Because after this, I mean, he did Anchorman 2, which was basically his job that he had to do in order to be able to do The Big Shot. Or The Big Short, excuse me. But it's like, after this movie, he did Anchorman 2, The Big Short, which he won an Oscar for, and Vice, as well as Don't Look Up. So it's like a huge turning point in his career, and it really showed audiences, without us knowing, that he can do deeper topic movies. He doesn't just have to do comedies for the rest of his career. And just the way that he covers heavier topics, and specifically in this movie, Wall Street, is so interesting. I think it's really well done, and the end credits scene really set me through a tailspin whenever I watched this as like a freshman in high school for the first time. I didn't know what half of it meant, but it kind of exposed me to how corrupt Wall Street can be, between that and, of course, the 2008 financial crisis. And even now, the end credit kind of sequence, or I guess animations, what it talks about there is still really interesting because we see it today. So in a lot of ways, The Other Guys is a comedy that kind of stretches over time. But like I said, this movie is just the perfect blend of the comedies that he had been doing beforehand, that he proved that he can make super well, with his movies that explore heavier themes and are a bit more serious while still being humorous, that he would go on to do later on in his career. And then I gotta talk about this movie's cinematography is surprisingly great. It just looks fantastic. It's a very uniquely New York sort of a movie, and something that I love about it is they actually filmed certain parts of this movie guerrilla style, which that basically means that you go out onto a real street and you shoot undercover, like in actual public. So you get actual people in your movie that are just going about their daily lives. And I personally love it whenever I see movies that do that. And it's fun watching the movie because with that knowledge, you can see people kind of reacting to, hey, that's Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg on the street. What are they doing here? And I also love in the scene that they have in Madison Square Garden whenever they're at the Knicks game, because I was watching the game whenever they were doing that movie guerrilla style, and I remember seeing them like, hey, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg are filming a movie, I guess. Like, Will Ferrell looks weird, so I'm gonna assume that they're filming a movie, and then lo and behold, it's in The Other Guys. So special shout out to the cinematographer of this movie. His name's Oliver Wood, and he previously did the Bourne franchise before doing this movie, and I think it shows. This guy had a lot of talent displayed on the screen, and it really helped separate this movie, to my mind, from Adam McKay's first few comedies in Step Brothers, Anchorman, and Talladega Nights, just in the way that it was shot. It was shot a bit more professionally, it looked like. Now, I know Wood did do Step Brothers, but I feel like between the themes and The Other Guys and the cinematography, it just really blended together nicely. This movie very much feels like a New York Wall Street movie. And in hindsight, I'm just so grateful that a comedy like this exists that can explore heavier themes and topics while also making you laugh out loud. I mean, how many times have I laughed in this video? I just love this movie so much. If you haven't had a chance to see it, please watch it. It's gotta be my favorite Will Ferrell movie. I just absolutely love it. But yeah, it's number 81 on the 100 movie marathon. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this, and thank you for your patience. If you subscribe to this channel in the hopes of getting more of these videos, I apologize for not being more consistent with them. It takes a little bit of extra time, you know, sitting down and watching the movie and breaking down what exactly I love about the movie in sort of a compact style. My first few videos on the 100 movie marathon were like 24, 26 minutes. This is a lot more doable for me, so let me know what your thoughts are here, and if you like this video, please subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time.